tail, body, thorax. Now that was very fast overview of materials I'm going to use for this fly, and as we go I'm going to explain what I'm going to use and why I like it. Now first of all, I'm going to start with the hook and the tungsten bead. Hook is size 14, tungsten bead is size 3. More or less the perfect match for the hook, but you should adopt the size of the bead to your needs. Like it can be 2.5 millimeters bead, or it can be 3 or 4 or whatever you like, even bigger I guess, but for bigger ones than 3.5 I would suggest you to use G-Gov beads for these. For the thread I will use Nano Silk Semperfli in 18 denier. Like it because it's very thin, it lays flat, and you can add additional wraps to your fly without adding bulk. So I'll start with reverse jam hitch. So let me do it again. Instead of wrapping normal way, go behind with a tag and around the hook and make this loop, and then just in a regular fashion continue wrapping. After a couple of wraps, transfer the tag to the front, catch it with your tying thread, and that's all. All you need to do now is to cut out this excess thread and start your fly. It's as secure as regular loop, as the regular wrap that you would start your fly with. For the tail, I'm using this kind of floss material. Not sure where I got it. It's on a spool, obviously wrapped by my hand, so it's not something I know the origins of. And you can do, for example, trap wrap like so. So go under your thread like so and catch it there, and then keep the tension on the thread, just pull it, and that's it. And then with flat thread in touching turns, just run over and cover the body of your fly with your thread. Now it's very important to have smooth foundation for the next step, and that's why I insist on flat thread over here. Now obviously you can add or not some taper to your fly. I prefer not to. What I like to do is, like, I just let it like this. If you stretch it and cut it to length, it will pull back and it will be a little bit shorter. So I like to use your hook as a measure where to cut it, and that way every fly will have the same tail or hotspot tag. For the body or abdomen, whatever you want to call it, I'm using peacock barb. So I'm not going to use this Biot part. It's wider, it's okay, it's the same effect you will see. I'm using those barbs, big ones. So I'll just cut out one of those. Now as you will see, you will have this colored part. It looks more or less like a T, I guess. Or, I mean, you have this edge, and you want that edge to be facing upwards. Now counterspin your bobbin holder a little bit, so you have more control over your thread, so it doesn't jump to your right. And then just with control, add one wrap to secure this barb. Smart thing to do would be to do that on the far side, and I will explain why. But the same rule applies. You want this colored part facing upwards. And then again, flat thread, smooth underbody, and cover everything up. So far, so good. Because this barb can be very sensitive to teeth, you want to protect it somehow, and for that purpose I'm using super glue in gel. That's my favorite thing because it's like you have more control over it. It doesn't soak into materials like liquid one. So just as you can see, I just spread it around the hook shank You can then, with the hackle pliers, wrap the barb and form the abdomen. I forgot to mention why I want on the far side, because on the far side, same as with tails, you will go under, avoid the tail here, and then when you go over it here, you have full control where you want to wrap it. Again, I lost my hackle pliers, so you can go exactly where your thread meets the tail, so you don't displace the stag or tails if you have tails, and then just follow along with the barb and make even spacings, and you will see that this white part is going to the front. You can slightly overlap it, or you don't have to, but cover your body nicely, and obviously you're going to get the same effect as if you were using Biot. The advantages of this barb are that it's longer, it's more narrow, you get more segments, which I like honestly, but with more narrow barb as opposed to Biot, you can actually have more control. You can get closer to the bead without affecting and having to fight with this, because when you have white barb, because white Biot gets very wide at this point, so you actually can just approach until this part, so your thorax area will be inevitably wider, if that makes any sense. Now I may have caused some confusion. Now, couple of reps. Make a loop 2 times around your loop with your tying thread, and then just lead loop where you want your thorax to begin. More or less 1/3 of overall from the bead until the tail. Oh my god. More or less overall, it's, if you are watching from the bead to this point to the tail, it's approximately 1/3 or less. It's just up to you. What I like to do at this point is I just like to hang this dubbing twister, and this is one of my favorite tools when it comes to dubbing loops. Now, first things first, you want to add peacock dubbing first. I'm using ice dubbing peacock color first because I want it to be next to the abdomen, and you want it approximately 5 to 7 millimeters in length for this size. It doesn't have to be thick, it just has to be short, like this. Now the next one is pink, and same story here, same story, and then also dub the same leg, don't go on the opposite leg, it's easier to control everything. Just do like so. So we got here, okay, I'll just twist this a little bit more. We got here more or less equal amount of ice dub peacock and pink ice dub. That's all we need. Next we need is half CDC feather. You can use lower quality CDC feathers because you don't actually need too many of these barbs for your fly. So I'm just going to use even less than half. So this would be half from beginning of the feather to the top. I'll just remove a couple of barbs and I'll use a little bit over the half of the half, so a little bit over a quarter of the feather. I'll insert this into the clip, and advantage of this clip as opposed to plastic clip that I usually use, this one, I can actually come closer when I want to get into the dubbing loop. Let me just show you what I mean. So you can just push this all the way to the fly, so you don't have to wrap any additional reps, like in vain, if I can say so. It gets all the way to the fly. When I use this one, I don't get that luxury. Now when you twist this well, all you need to do is, I forgot to go with my thread to the bead, but never mind. Cover the thorax area, cover it with quite tight wraps, because you can do that. You're using GSP thread and it will lock everything much better. So what I like to do, I just put my nail and then pull, just wrap it, and obviously now I slide down the bead. This pushes the barbs of the CDC a little bit backwards, and that's it. Then twist the loop around your tying thread, make 1, 2 reps, twist the loop around your tying thread, 1, 2, and everything is locked. I like to do this with, especially with slippery GSP, because it somehow, not somehow, but it locks everything, and I have a more durable fly. Flatten the thread to make your whip finish knot, and I'll tell you one more thing about this. I just slide everything down the bead because I have more control with placement. Okay, you can add one more if you wish. And cut the thread. As you can see, advantages of thin thread is that I also don't need to whip finish with doubling. I already have hidden whip finish knot. I also don't have too much CDC here. It can be less, obviously. If you have too much CDC, or if you want to have just legs, you can cut bottom and the top of your nymph and you get this leggy effect, or you can keep it around as a collar, and when it gets under the water it will look like a kind of a, it will envelop your fly. It will look semi-translucent. It will give a little bit more movement, obviously, but it will blur everything out and it will look very cool. That would be it. This would be one of those, let's call them Euro style nymphs, although I don't know what this Euro style nymph is. Honestly, it's just a nymph for fishing. You can use it under an indicator, bobber. You can use it a long line nymphing without indicator, without anything. For sight fishing, you can use it on Euro rig, obviously. You can use it as any way as you wish. It doesn't have any rules. There are no rules here. So that would be it. Very simple nymph, but it does look cool and it does catch fish. So guys, thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe, share, comment down below, and see you next week.